A new study finds if a man is black, the chances are nearly 50-50 that he's been arrested. And if he is white, the chances are less likely, but still substantially good that he has been under arrest as well. These findings coming to us today from these researchers at the University of South Carolina and the University of Albany. They analyzed some information from about 9,000 young people surveyed between 1997 to 2008, and this is what they found. They specifically found by the time these men turned 23, 49% of blacks, 44% of Hispanics, and 38% of whites had been arrested. And this includes any crime except minor traffic offenses. That was the only caveat. So let's talk about this, have a broader discussion. CNN political commentator Marc Lamont Hill and editor for CNN.com's opinion section, Bryan Monroe. Gentlemen, welcome. Nice to see both of you.
Great to be here.
Just from both of you off the top, Marc, to you first, and then Bryan, just reacting to this, because the numbers that jumped out at me, is that the percentage of white men pretty close to that of black men who've been arrested.
Well, part of the problem is that we live in a country that is just committed, obsessed even with mass incarceration. We just celebrated MLK Day yesterday. When he died, there were about 280,000 people in American prisons. Right now, there are more than 2.5 million. We have a nation that is obsessed with incarcerating people. 1 in 100 American adults incarcerated right now. That's because we arrest too much, we investigate too much, we prosecute too much. Men are often the primary targets for this, but increasingly women, because men arouse reasonable suspicion just by being male, because we imagine them to be violent, we imagine them to be threats. And for black and brown men, that's especially heightened.
I want to get back to that issue of men and why men specifically. But Bryan, we know that President Obama, he talked. There was a very lengthy article written in the New Yorker, and he actually made note of how different races are treated by police. Let me just quote this part. Middle-class kids, this is the president, middle-class kids don't get locked up for smoking pot, and poor kids do. He goes on, and African-American kids and Latino kids are more likely to be poor and less likely to have the resources and the support to avoid unduly harsh penalties. And then I was wondering, once these young people try getting jobs, Bryan, it has to be pretty difficult. I mean, is an arrest ever fully wiped off your record?
It depends on the jurisdictions, but you can go through and have certain things expunged, but even through that process, there's always a lingering piece of paper somewhere that shows that you were arrested. And I'm worried, not just for the overall numbers, but you drill down deeper to the report and you see that 1 in 3 African-American boys are arrested before they turn 18 compared to 1 in 5 white boys. And either way, it's bad. Look, I've got a 12-year-old son. And now I've got to think about, in addition to teaching him how to tie his tie and how to fill out a resume, I have to teach him what to do in that 50-50 chance that he could be pulled over or arrested walking down the street for maybe nothing, and handcuffs put on him. That is a fundamental scarring impact on a young boy. It has to
be fundamental, catastrophic, Marc Lamont Hill. You go around and talk to a lot of young people, but the notion of slapping cuffs on a 12, 13, 14-year-old, that has to stay with you forever.
Absolutely. We often criminalize young people at an early age, and we actually prepare them for the very thing that we're worried about. If you go into a school and you used to see school discipline handled by the principal or the teacher, you got a suspension. Now you argue with the teacher, you have a temper tantrum, and you get carried out in handcuffs and arrested for disorderly conduct. So at a very early age, you're prepared for that type of mentality. Stop and frisk, juvenile curfews. We criminalize young people at such an early age that it no doubt leads to this stuff. But let's be clear here. It doesn't happen everywhere equally. I taught at Columbia University. I taught at Temple University. I went to the University of Penn. If I went to any of those schools at night, do you know how many kids I could arrest for disorderly conduct, public drunkenness, a simple possession of marijuana, et cetera, et cetera? Exactly. Yeah. But we don't look there. We're looking in very particular places. That's why very particular people get arrested.
Okay.
And if you look at what it sets up for the exchange between young boys and police officers, which could be, I wasn't going to say a great relationship, but it could be okay. Now, every time a young boy sees a cop, there's an adversarial tension there, and it doesn't have to be. I think that too many police officers trying to do their jobs are too quick to arrest when other things could happen. I saw a video of a cop in Texas who, instead of going out and sort of being a presence, he pulled out a football and started playing catch with a kid. That's the kind of police presence that we need at a young age, so that kids learn not to fear the cops, but to respect them.
We heard about that as well, but then at the same time, I kind of wondered if that video went viral simply because that is what the police officer was doing, as opposed to what so many other police officers have been accused of doing in this country. Marc Lamont Hill and Bryan Monroe,